What's going on, everyone? So, the Los Angeles Lakers need centers, right? And with the 55th pick, one of the things that I want to see the Lakers go get is a center, right? I actually personally prefer them to go get a 3-and-D wings, ideally somebody that can kind of help maybe sooner rather than later, maybe as soon as this year, but I wouldn't hate the idea of going and getting a center. The only reason I'm not like super high on like going and drafting a center is just because I think that a Nick Claxton or somebody like that is going to end up being drafted, and that's going to be our center for the next like 4+ years, if not longer, right? You're talking probably 6+ years, right? So it's just like, do you really want to get a center that at best is probably just going to be your backup? Where I do think you can never have an abundance of or more than enough of 3-and-D wings. So if you can get a guy, but somebody that could be available to the Lakers that could slot in at the center position and maybe worth considering drafting with the 55th pick, right? With the 55th pick, all you're looking for is somebody that can come in and at least just be a rotation guy. Obviously, if you get lucky and strike gold and he becomes a star or anything like that, then beautiful, right? But more likely than not, usually your best case scenario is you're drafting a guy with upside or can help you now and is a project either way usually, right? They're usually not perfect, ready-made now. Even the guys that are ready to make an impact right now usually have some flaws to their games or things like that, right? You look at like a Dalton Connect. He's a guy that was able to shoot the lights out, right? But a liability on defense, could be a little inconsistent. Any rookie you're going to be looking for. So if you can just get a guy that's not out of the league in 2 years, you hit a home run. But one of the guys that I would consider looking at if I was the Lakers would be Izan Almansa. And he's a guy, 20 years old, just turned 20 June 7th. So he's still young enough to be that upside project center. He's projected to go in the second round. I've kind of seen him all over the place. I've seen him early in the second round all the way to like undrafted in many draft boards. But he's 6'10", 230, right? He's a guy that's got decent size. Now, the concerns with him is more so on the defensive side of things. His like projection is like an Al Horford type of guy, but he has like good flaws. He's a guy that has a high IQ as far as like decision making goes, a guy that's really good at kind of surveying and reading, right? The kind of the 3 count where a guy gets the ball dumped down low, you got 1, 2, 3, and then you make a decision whether it's passing, moving without the basketball. Really good in that 3 count step, and then just making quick decisions. His passing ability is something that is very good. He's a guy that can make plays and make decisions. His rebounding skills is something else that he's really good. But again, it's his strength, particularly on the inside, right? He is a guy that, like I mentioned, 6'10", 230, but he's a guy that you kind of question his toughness on the inside, as well as his rim protection, as well as shooting consistencies. But he's a 20-year-old project that you'd be drafting with the 55th pick. Again, perspective and context matters. And he's a guy that I do think, he is a guy that has a good motor, which is important, and gives good effort, right? Even on the defensive side of things. He is a guy that he's going to give you that energy. He's going to give you that hustle. He's going to do that. He's going to do the dirty work, which is what you need, is what you want, right? But it's just getting him right and focused, better discipline, his timing down better, right? And be able to put him in a position to have success, particularly on the defensive side, right? Because yes, it would be great to have a guy that, off the bench or as a starter or whatever at some point that can make plays out of the post and, read and survey. If you could get an Al Horford, right? We'd all love Al Horford. I mean, Lakers are even interested in potentially signing Al Horford as a guy off the bench, right? If he could be anything close to Al Horford, that would be huge. But he's a guy that has a long way to go. A lot of just getting limitations as far as that goes. And then, the limited self-creation was like a big theme that was really highlighted, that he's a guy that has to rely on others. But you have Luka, LeBron, and Austin Reeves. That's fine, right? Like Luka, what is he like? He likes to have the ball in his hands, go do his thing, and then create for his big man, right? Be that lob threat, be the guy that can be that cutter. Perfect. So him having one of his flaws, one of his red flags being the lack of self-creation, I don't look at it as a big deal considering we have Luka. If we didn't have Luka, then yes, I do think that that would be something of concern. But Luka is okay with that. All the centers we're looking at via trade, free agency, all that stuff outside of like Brook Lopez are all guys that are, limited as far as the offense. But, a Daniel Gafford, a Nick Claxton, like all these guys are limited on their offensive production. They're all limited on what they can produce offensively on a regular basis. So again, I'm not worried about somebody. One of their big flaws is the lack of self-creation. So again, it is something that obviously you don't want to be so reliant on Luka that you're a liability otherwise. But again, it's the 55th pick. There's going to be kind of these pros and cons. There's going to be these goods and bads that you're going to have to figure out. But again, you kind of look at what he does, what he provides. Again, he's a guy that was the big board ranking was a 91 overall, which is good, right? He's a guy that is looked at as potentially having the ability to play either power forward and center, so he might be able to give you some of that versatility. Needs a lot of work, though, if you're going, especially at the four spot. He's not a guy, to me, he's probably best as the center, probably playing and slotting in at the center spot. But again, he's a guy that is 6'9" and a quarter barefoot, so again, 6'10" with shoes. He has a 9'2" standing reach. He has a 7'1" wingspan and a 28 standing vert, 35 max vert at the 2024 NBA Combine. So he's a guy that you can throw the ball up to. He can hammer it home. He's not like this insane high flyer that, you could just basically throw it up anywhere you want and he's just going to go up and get it. But he is a guy that, you can, get it up, put him in the dunker spot. Luka can create and do his thing. Easy lob, boom, hammer it home, right? And that's, again, what you're looking for as far as the Lakers go. But checks off a lot of boxes, right? Give you a center that you can grow and develop, right? Again, a bit of a project, but he's also young enough to where if you go get a Nick Claxton and, Clint Capella, you can spend the next 2 or 3 years developing this guy. And then, let's say you sign Clint Capella to a 2-year deal. Nick Claxton, he's got 3 years left, right? So, Clint Capella, you develop him for the 2 years. Clint Capella falls off, right? Boom. Now you're bringing Eizen back in to your backup role. He's now your primary backup. Still running Nick Claxton for another year. And then if he's ready to kind of transition into that, then maybe you're making that adjustment. If not, then you just keep him as your backup, right? And again, if you can get a legit development guy out of the draft with the 55th pick, you did something right, right? Like that in and of itself, right? That most guys are out of league in 2 years, like I said. So ideally, if I was the Lakers, I would take a look at him. Again, I do think that there's a couple other guys you can make an argument for. I personally, like I mentioned at the beginning of the video, would prefer to go the wing depth route, go get like a 3-and-D guy. Because again, I just think the Lakers are going to trade for a center, 1. And then 2, I think, you could go sign that veteran center, or worst case scenario, sign a Clint Capella and a Brook Lopez or a Jericho Sims. And there you go. Right. Plus, they also have Christian Koloko. Yes, Christian Koloko and these guys are like 4 or 5 years older. Right. So that's something to kind of keep in mind. But to me, I kind of look at it as like, just stick with the centers you got as far as development goes, and then go get, via trade or free agency or whatever, that center, and then, go get a 3-and-D wing that you could grow, develop, be a rotation piece, kind of fill in, play the role. But yeah, kind of my thoughts in that regard. But anyway, as always, this is a discussion. Let me know your thoughts and opinions down in the comments. That being said, if you haven't liked this video, hit that like button. Helps me a lot. So we enjoy these types of videos, and I truly appreciate it. Not subscribe channel, hit that subscribe button. Turn on the bell notifications. Appreciate y'all. See you in the next one. Thank you.